AC would turn on right now, but hopefully the audio is good. I really don't know. This is really gonna be a hit or miss video because I don't have a mic yet, and it's currently like 2:30 in the morning, but here we go. Hello, welcome back. Oh, so my earring fell off. I have Grey's Anatomy on, and it's on the episode where Izzy cuts the elevator wire, so it's intense. Okay, so what year are we in? 2021. There has been a hot mess for me this year. What I want to kind of get back into the groove of filming, so I hope this video works out. There's been plenty of times where I filmed and then my computer won't read the files, so I'm hoping that it works out. I'm hoping that everything works out and that I'm able to use this footage. If not, I'm gonna cry. I went ahead and bought a new Mac Pro Air, and also I got Final Cut Pro because I was editing on iMovie, which it's good for the basic editing, but I wanted to really upgrade my editing. So hopefully everything kind of starts to work out, but I'm gonna go ahead and get into it. So just, I don't know, go get your snacks, get a drink, get whatever. Usually I listen to like when people sit down and talk, I listen to it when I'm like working. I just have it like playing, and you know, it's just like listening to stories. It just helps me, like it just helps me. So today's video is going to be on a recent dating experience. This is just one of the dating experiences I had, and I'm going to talk about it because I already blocked the person on all my social medias. So will he ever see this? I don't know. I don't really care. I'm not going to name names, but you know, who knows if he'll expose himself. Who knows? We won't get into all that mess. But okay, so this all started with this guy. What should I name? We'll name him Roger, which is funny because I actually did date somebody named Roger. That's another story for another time. I'm not ready to talk about that. So Roger in this story followed me on Twitter. Like, it was before 2020. It was probably 2019, sometime like before the pandemic. And so he would like comment on things on Twitter, then he added me on Snapchat, and then he found me on Facebook. Well, Roger ended up knowing my cousin, which is my older cousin. I guess they went to school together at some point, like middle school, 8th grade or whatever. And just, I don't want to get too much into detail, but for sake of time, but he would ask me out and then never make plans to do it, or he would be randomly like, hey, come meet me, come, you know, come bowling, come do it, like random, like last minute. Like, he was, I really got the vibe he was just looking for somebody, anybody. And so I didn't really like that, because I'm like, you're always saying like you're gonna take me out, but yet you never make solid plans, and then you just like randomly start asking me to meet you places. So then I was meeting my cousin in Vegas, which I did vlog that when I was in Vegas, and he was like, hey, like I want to go to Vegas with you, like almost like inviting himself to come with me to Vegas. And I was just like, no, like I don't know you, like I'm really, I don't know, like strangers scare me, right? It takes me a while to warm up to people, but so more time goes by and he's still like just randomly texts me here and there. Let's fast forward to, when was it? I think it was April. He starts like really like, I'm gonna make you my girl, you're gonna be my girl. And I was like, yeah, okay, like we'll see about that, like, you know, let's get to know each other. Like I had just gotten out of like a really horrible situation, and I wasn't trying to get back into another one. So he was just like, you're gonna be my girlfriend. He kept saying like, you're like basically like claiming me, right? I wish I didn't delete him off Snapchat, because I even had like the messages saved. And I would tell him like, no, like you have to ask my dad for permission, like my dad cares. And I'm like, you know, I was just like giving him a hard time, because you have to prove yourself. I'm not just gonna like love you off the bat. And so this was all in a span of like a week. The first week we started like kind of like getting to know each other. He would text and call me like every day throughout the day, and then he would kind of do like, I like to say fuckboy shit, but when you're a grown ass man in your 30s, like is it really like being a fuckboy? My earring got stuck to that. Wow. You know, like a grown ass man, a grown man. So he would be like, oh, like, do you miss me? And I'm like, I don't, like, you know, I'm like, I don't even know you to miss you. Like, how am I gonna miss someone I don't know? And I was like, we've never even met in person. So there was like a day he was going to Vegas, and he was like, call off of work, come with me to Vegas. I'm like, I can't call off of work. First of all, like I had like started a new position. I think I had like occurrences. If y'all work in corporate world, you know what an occurrence is. And I couldn't go, and I was like, and I don't want to go. I'm not gonna go to Vegas with a stranger. And I was like, no, like I'll see you when you get back. And I was like, there's not even gonna be girls there. It was a guy's trip with his brother-in-law, right? Who's the brother-in-law? We'll get to that. And so while he was in Vegas, he was like texting me, and you know, I'm gonna fly you out, like come out. Like he was just so pressed, and it just bothered me, because to me, like, I don't know, you're just too pressed for me. I don't like that. I need some balance. Okay, so I'm gonna just get into it. So he comes back from Vegas, and I think the next, either Monday or Tuesday, I don't remember, it was sometime during the week, where he literally goes and, okay, no, he asks me out to eat on a random night. And I was like, yeah, like I'll meet up with you. He comes, picks me up, and at the time I was living at my brother's. He comes and picks me up, and we go out to eat pizza and wings at this like chain restaurant out here called Barrows. I love Barrows, but you know, it's not fancy. It's not a fancy ass place. So we go, we get Barrows, and he kind of like, okay, so this guy has 2 kids, 2 baby mamas that I know of. So he has a tattoo on his arm, and or it says like a name. I don't know, I couldn't read it. And I'm like, oh, like who's that? And he's like, my daughter. And I know his daughter's name is another name. I'm not gonna say names because I feel like I'm giving out too many details. But I'm like, oh, it's your daughter's name. I only know of 2 kids and neither one of them is that name. And then while he was in Vegas, he told me he didn't do any drugs. And I was just like, okay, like, I know people do drugs. He kind of like is like, oh, I'm surprised I dropped clean. And I'm like, what do you mean you're surprised you dropped clean? And he's like, that he did coke. He did drugs while he was in Vegas. And I was like, you said you didn't do that. And he's like, everybody does it. I'm like, no sir, not me, not me. And so that was already like you're already lying. Oh, it's right here. So he's like, oh, telling me how, okay, and not to like be any type of way, but he's like an ex-Mormon. So he grew up Mormon. And I'm like, okay, like, I could kind of see like he's wild to be an ex-Mormon, you know, parties, drinks, drugs, all kinds of things. But I don't like to like judge people, because I know life is like crazy, okay? Like, there's nothing perfect in life, but there's just like signs. So I'm like, okay, like, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, maybe that's my problem, is at first I'll kind of like give people like the benefit of the doubt. Is that how you say it? Well, anyways, so we're gonna get into it. It gets better. There's like a Mormon church by my brother's, and he's like, oh yeah, that's my sister's church. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like talking about how he was in Vegas with his brother-in-law, and how his sister had his car that weekend. It was just like, your brother-in-law, I don't know, like, your sister, like, okay, so his sister doesn't even live in Phoenix, and they're Mormons. And I was just like, who's the brother-in-law that you were in Vegas with? Was it your Mormon brother-in-law? I don't know. You know, I had these questions that I was like, I don't want to ask, because I feel like it's going to get confrontational, and I don't like confrontation. As much as people think I like confrontation, I don't like confrontation. So I was just like, I'm not going to ask him. Like, I don't know. Like, it just feels like it's like real fishy. Well, anyways, he's getting ready to drop me off, and I was asking to come inside to my brother's house. And we're a closed VIP family over here. Like, it takes a lot to get in, okay? Like, you have to be, it's an invitation only, okay? And I was just like, you can't come into my brother's house like that. You can't do that. And he was just like, come on. Like, I was like, no, like, you can't come in. I'm sorry that there's no invite over. And I believe that was like not the first time he asked to come over, but he had okay, so I know he got upset. He got upset because I didn't sleep with him that night after the pizza and wings. And it was just like, I knew it right away, just the way he acted and treated me. And even like when he was texting me afterwards, he was like, oh, you're welcome for dinner. Because he was like, he got mad when he was texting me, and he was like, okay, yeah, good night, I'm going to sleep, good night. And I'm like, okay, good night. And he's like, and you're welcome for dinner. He's like, it's just rude when someone doesn't say thank you. So prior to that date, he had been saying he was going to take me out to a Diamondbacks game. And right after that date, I was like, I know he's not going to take me. I'm going to get stood up. And so I believe that was like on a Tuesday. So Wednesday goes by, I don't hear nothing. Thursday, I think, was the day we were going to go to the game. I can't remember what day we were going to go to the game. But he's like, hey, like, I have my son. I'm not going to be able to go to the game. And I just was like, okay. So I was just like, okay, no worries. And then the weekend rolls around and he's like posting on Snapchat. Like, he's everywhere. He's at parties. He's with other girls. Are these bitches family? Or are they, like, who are they? You know, who knows? But I was just kind of like, well, I'm not really going to ask because we're not together. So I was just like, all right, like, let you do your thing. The whole weekend goes by, mind you. He had promised to help me move into my apartment, and that didn't even happen. So stood me up for the game, didn't help me move into my apartment, and the whole weekend he was like posting like that he was at parties and stuff. So what happens next is that he texts me, no, he writes me on Instagram, oh, like, you had an attitude when we were eating, the vibe was off. And I was like, I had an attitude? Like, what? You know? I was like, oh, like, I'm sorry, like, how was I acting? And he's like, it's old news, let's just move on. You just literally said I had an attitude. Like, why can't you tell me what I did? And I don't like that, because I feel like that's hella like gaslighting. So he's just like, no, let's just forget about it. But I had already moved into my apartment, and he's like, when are you gonna invite me over? And I'm like, when you bring me flowers. And he's like, oh, that's when I get an invite? And he's like, I took you to dinner and you can't like basically like do something for him. Like, oh, a woman can't do anything for a man. I'm like, you're wanting to date me, it's not me wanting to date you. You know, so I got triggered. And I was just like, do you have a problem with me? And he's like, no. And I'm like, it seems like you do. It seems like you have a problem that you took me out to eat. And so we didn't talk for like a week or so. And he would randomly text me, oh, let me come over and watch movies. I'm like, you're not invited. I was like, no, you can't come over. And I told him, if you think that I'm available for you whenever you want, like, you have the wrong person. So he would still try. And I think he was just so determined that I was gonna take him out. Like, I was gonna take him on a date. He was so determined. So he would like write me like, oh, you're mean, this and that. But the final straw for me was, I went on another date, which I'll talk about that in another video. But he basically brought up again that he took me out to eat. So I had posted on Snapchat and I was like, hey, like, who wants to go have pizza? I'm down to split. I'm down to split the bill. And he's like, how about you pay? He replies to my story and he's like, how about you pay? And because I took you out last time. I'm like, dude, like, seriously, you keep bringing this up? And I was like, how much do I owe you? He's like, nothing. Like, clearly, boy, you want your money back. Like, if you think you're gonna pay for something and get sex in exchange, go with a prostitute, please. So what did I do? So he was in Vegas and he was posting like with a group. So I'm thinking like, oh, maybe he's like with friends and family, whatever. And there was this girl there that I had seen him post before. He had went to one of the Suns finals games. He had went somewhere with her, and I was like, I recognize faces. I remember faces. Maybe not names, but I know faces. And I was like, yo, this girl looks familiar. So again, he starts posting more with her, and I'm like, this kind of looks weird, because mind you, like, the week before he was like replying to my pictures, oh, I bet I can have fun with you, and telling me to take him on a date. So I see him in this like video, and in the video he goes to grab her hair, and I could see on his Apple Watch it lights up and it's a picture of the girl. And so I'm like, I was like, is that your girlfriend? Doesn't reply back to me. So I blocked him. I blocked him because one, he thought I was gonna take him on a date. And you know, who knows who that girl is. Good luck to her. Good luck to, you know, that girl. I send her well wishes, because that's why it takes me a long time to like warm up to a man. Like, I saw the red flags in him that just reminded me of like a recent person that I was dealing with, and I just, all the red flags were there, like over promising that you're gonna be with me, oh I'm gonna make you my girl, oh this and that, like so many other things that happened. And I was just like, oh, like I was getting like that feeling in my stomach, like this is not I was like, nope. So always trust your gut. Honestly, like, hold out. Don't sleep with these men, because it's not even worth it. 10 times out of 10, it's like really not worth it. Just speaking from experience. I know a lot of people get mad when I tell them not to sleep around. I'm like, honey, I'm only telling you from experience. It's just an opinion. You don't have to take it to heart, but definitely it's never worth it. But I think he got mad because he couldn't, because I didn't have sex with him. And I think that's was like his, like, I'm gonna, you know, he was gonna wait it out. He was gonna wait it out and see like if I gave in. And I did it. And I have this rule. I don't mind a man with kids. And I would always say, I don't mind being like the second baby mama. But being the third, fourth, or whatever after the second, I have my limits. Alright. So that is the story of Roger. I hope to never see this man again. I hope he never contacts me again. If he watches this video, that's on him. And don't expose yourself, because you're an embarrassment. That was honestly such an eye-opener to me, because it just let me know, like, to trust myself, to trust my own judgment, to trust that, like, I know, like, I know better now. All the previous dating experiences have taught me and brought me to this moment. So yes, I hope you like that little talkative dating story. I didn't really do much for my makeup, honestly. Like, what am I gonna do? I will be posting more dating stories. Let me know if you like these or not. I hope you do get a little insight on my traumas. You know, you learn from my experiences. If you have shared experiences, let me know. I love to hear your story. I'm all ears, and I love gossip. So until next time, I will see you later.